All right. We've sorted our life out, I think.
We'll see. We'll see. It took some time.
Well, let's get under. Oh, wow. Let's get it underway. That's what I was trying to say.
Let's get it on.
The words aren't coming out of my mouth now.
That's so good.
All right. Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of Creative Appetite. Today I'm joined by my really good friend Keets, or Nikita. She is a mad hatter, hat maker, felt hats. They look sick. I don't really know how else to introduce you about hats. But she makes hats and she's an absolute amazing human, and I'm very excited to have her come on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. First podcast.
This is the first time I've had it like this way.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to like adjust to this.
So we can stare into each other's eyes?
So we can look at each other.
All right.
Go, wow, what lovely eyes you have.
Wow, what a beautiful smile you have.
I think this is going to... Oh, it's dangerous. We're also sitting on... We've had to make a few adjustments. Yep, I think that works. Perfect.
Awesome.
So anyway, now that we're here... No, we're not. This isn't working. Wait up. Okay, this is a bit better. As you can tell, we're highly trained professionals and everything works.
Oh, I've done this many times.
I do this all the time, as you can tell. Oh, man. So how did this all come about? Because currently we're sitting up in a little attic.
Yeah.
And it's full of lovely hats. That's a pretty hectic sewing machine.
Yeah. My industrial one.
So how did where's the concept behind, like, how did it all come together?
Very random, really. So quite a few years ago, I was chasing that whole musician dream and was trying to become a full-time musician, and then kind of got imposter syndrome and freaked out while I was, kind of getting up there, and I needed another creative outlet. So I was like, what can I do other than music? And I saw a few people, they were hat makers, and I was like, I always wear a hat. Why not see what it's like to make a hat? And then so I did a 3-day millinery course in Sydney, and it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So I was like, okay, I'll take away some techniques and, ideas from that. And then I did trial and error for about 1.5 years, and then decided to launch my business as the Salty Crown. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even plug the actual name of your business. Yeah, she's a hat maker. I don't know if it's successful or not. No promo at all. What a guy, Jesse.
What a great guy.
Anyway, yeah, I always see like a lot of hat making stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it just looks like so much fun. Like you can just beat the shit out of it and like shape it to how you want.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's so many different types of techniques to like get the shape, or I guess if you're using like different material as well. Because how does it come? Does it just come like a flat piece of material, then you have to put it on those wooden shapey things?
So it's like it comes like almost like a hood, and then you take it, you steam it, you put it on a wooden block and you shape it, and then you just stiffen it, then you shape it, sweatband it, and create. And so it's really hot in this attic. I'm so sweaty.
We're highly trained professionals. But yeah, it is warm. I mean, but that's all right. We will persevere now. We've committed. We could have went downstairs, but that's all right.
That's
whatever.
okay. That's all right.
We need the aesthetic.
I'll just have the sweat beads.
There's literally like no sweat beads at all. So with your like hardening and stuff, what does that mean? Is that like, do you dry it, air dry? Like, how's it all?
Yeah, so it's all different processes of drying. So once I block it, which means I get the felt, I heat it up, and then I put it on a wooden block, and that's just like it's kind of like a rounded shape. And then from there, I let it dry. Next day, I start stiffening it. I use this stiffening agent, and then let that dry, and then you can create from there. You can shape it. You can do anything.
Because is that this hat here? Is that like the base?
Yeah.
level?
So that process has actually been blocked and stiffened, and now that's ready for the brim to be cut. the sweatband to be inserted and shape and create it to the design.
I feel like I'm going to show people.
Okay.
They can see.
Okay.
Unless you're not watching, like, oh, wow. So if you're listening, this is going to be irrelevant to you, but if you are watching, it looks cool. Like it feels like a piece of cardboard.
Mm.
But that's just all felt. There's like no filler or anything in it, right?
Nothing. So it's just been freshly stiffened.
Yeah, it feels like
And
like
then
if you push too hard, you're going to damage it. You know?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like I should put this down. This is probably not safe.
It's so safe. It's fine.
Yeah, but it might be safe, but I'm not safe. That's what I'm more meaning. Like, I'll probably damage it in some way and be like, oh, no. But yeah, it's such a fascinating industry because I couldn't imagine that there's many people doing it. Or maybe there is and I just don't know about it.
I feel like when I first started, it was hard to it was even hard to find someone to go to and learn from. So there was only about 2 options out there. But I feel like over time, a lot of people are starting to get into it because a lot of people want to start getting into old school trades and a creative life. So there's a lot of people actually doing it now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, hey. That's the thing about social media, right? You can just find you and all your buddies across the world that all make hats, and then you realise how big it is, and you're like, God damn it.
It's a huge industry. It's actually a huge industry.
It's such I feel like to me it seems like it's such a niche like job because it's not like your classic trade job, but like people still need hats, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's foreign to me because I'm like, I don't. So welcome to the second installment. But for everyone else, there's no second. This is just us. They don't see this bit.
Yeah.
We've just adjusted for the listeners at home. I decided that the plastic container was very uncomfortable, and holding the mic the way I am seems to be much. And you jumped on board too, so now we're both on board.
And you're so tall. I'm just gonna. They're on the same level.
Benny's probably going to be listening to this, just going, "What are you doing?"
I love Benny.
Shout out to Benny Watson. You get a shout out. He was actually asked me, he's like, "Can you shout me out?" I was like, "I don't even know." I was like, "All right."
I got asked to as well.
Benny, come on. I do have to give a shout out though to my friend Cupid who lent me his car. So without him lending me the car, none of this would have been possible. So you do get a shout out.
So Cupid gets a shout out and Benny gets a shout out for introducing us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I reckon that's fair.
Cool.
That's
I reckon that's fair as well.
So yeah, go follow Benny Watson. I don't know if Cupid. Oh, I think he does have Instagram, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, moving right along. All right, let's get into. I want to start picking your brain about some stuff. So obviously it's felt. That's and then what's the rest of it? Like, is this like a synthetic leather or?
So it's Australian wool felt that I get dyed and spun, and then I use different things like that's sheep's leather. I hand make all the sweatbands. So inside the hats, I hand make the leather sweatbands.
How do you?
And I've got like a template thing that I got made up, and that's kangaroo leather in there, which is really super durable. And just I don't know, honestly, trial and error of trying to figure out what's the best material to use and what's the best way to go about it.
And how did you ever do like research on like how? I'm not saying like. Sorry, guys. Like,
I gotta stop saying like. Yeah, like
my vocabulary has really depreciated.
That's what happens when you stay up really late.
Yeah. Did you ever do research on? I'll use Akubra for example because that's the only big brand I know. And did you study their hat making way, like skills and like what they were using and things of that?
Yeah, I did a lot of research. Like when I said I did like trial and error, like
See,
when
once
I know I gotta stop.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. It's so and
Mitch,
like
my mate who interviewed me, and like he's been on there a couple of times. He says all the time, like way worse than saying like. He'll be standing there, like I remember I was like trying to listen to the episode and I was like counting them. I was like, dude, he says them all the time.
It's really allows you to collect your thoughts.
Someone smart, not smart, much smarter than I am. They was talking about like when you're conversing, if instead of saying and like, you should just pause for a second.
Okay.
And then say your sentence, because that's actually much more.
Instead of just filling in the gaps with an
Yeah. Instead of, yeah. And also putting the mic close to your face. You need to keep it at a certain distance. Otherwise you end up eating it.
Yeah, don't eat the mic.
I hope everyone's following along, by the way, and just enjoying this process. It is a process today. But yeah, so how did the study go? And were you obsessed from the start, or was it, like you said, because you did say it was trial and error, were you kind of half in it, half out, or were you just always in it?
Well, definitely always in it. When I do something, when I have my mind set on something, I'm like 100% person, definitely. So I got this idea and this concept about, like I want to be a hat maker, and I needed to be a hat maker, and meaning I did the trial and error for a year and a half by YouTubing, Googling, even going to the extent of going to the library to get old school millinery books and really researching different techniques to use. And from there, created all these hats. And when I was ready and when I thought that people would start liking my hats was when I was like, yeah, all right, I'll start releasing these styles.
So is it Milner?
Yeah, millinery.
Millinery.
Yeah. Welcome.
This is just going to basically be a bunch of laughing going on. But yeah, so that's the correct term. So this whole time I've just been hat making.
No, that's right. It's a hat maker as well as a milliner. When people ask, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a hat maker.
Or do you say milliner on purpose just to like confuse them? You're like, yeah, bro, I'm a milliner.
Well, I have said milliner and I have said hat maker, and I get the same response. So,
so either way, it doesn't, you're like,
yeah,
it's probably easy to say hat maker because then they'll be really confused when you say the other one.
Yeah, 100%. When I say hat maker, people are like, okay, hat maker, what is that? I get it every single time.
I feel like you'd be very like kind in your response. Like you'd never get sick of someone asking that same question.
No, never. I have to explain it though. I can't be like, yeah,
give them
hats.
Give them a card.
Yeah,
a couple of fun facts about hat making.
Seriously. Oh, that's so good.
So how was that experience, I guess? So you make your first hat and then you're getting ready to sell them. Were your friends and everyone like super supportive, like really getting around it?
Super supportive. All my family and friends, yeah, they couldn't wait to get their hands on a hat. And yeah, they're still supportive all these years later. Yeah.
Because how long have you been running it for then?
So I launched in 2017.
And you've been here for ages.
Yeah, and then I closed the doors to the business in end of 2018, 2019, and thought, you know what, I'm not gonna start it up again. And then I had this. It was still in the back of my mind of what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? COVID hit, and I was like, okay, great opportunity. Like I'm still thinking about it since the beginning of 2019, and I had to just dabble in it again. I was like, nah, stuff this. I'm gonna reopen the doors.
What happens if you were like that same mentality, but about a girl or someone that you loved, you know? And I feel like you can't have the same motivation, like the drive. You're like, I'm still thinking about that person. That's it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you just get called a creep.
You can't. It's like,
you can't do that.
It's not on. Not on, guys.
That is, no, you can't do that. Don't get any ideas, Jesse. You can't do it. Abort. You can't. Well, we all know what you're thinking.
Oh, okay, Jesse. There seems to be some love things going on for you. No, but I just thought that was funny. Yeah, so why did you stop then? What was the Because was it? I'm assuming it must have been quite successful if you were like hesitant to like stop.
Yeah, definitely. I was getting super burnt out as well, and I don't know. I was non-stop working around the clock, and I just thought, you know what, I just need to close the doors for a little bit, give myself some space. Creativity-wise was, I don't know, not lacking, but it wasn't moving forward the way I wanted it to, and so decided to close the doors for what I thought would have been forever, but just for a little time, and came back, and yeah, creative juices were completely flowing again and haven't stopped since. So it was a really good thing that I gave myself that space and allowed myself to feel that.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of creatives don't do. They don't, when it comes to being burnt out, they still try to push through instead of like taking the break.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of at that point as well. I mean, when this comes out, it'll be the new year, so I'll be reinvigorated. But currently I'm like, oh man, I've been recording so much this year and putting a lot of effort in. And then you kind of get to the point where you're like, oh man, I'm actually pretty fatigued.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot, like to give someone your energy all the time and have these conversations and stuff.
Definitely.
So you can kind of feel that little bit of a burnt out feeling, and you're like, oh, it'd just be nice to like have a holiday. But then when I think about having a holiday, I'm like, oh, but then the podcast is going to go backwards, so I can't have the holiday. It's just weird, like dance between.
It completely is. And even having some time off and you're constantly thinking about it and you're thinking, no, that was the right decision. But if it's still in the back of your head, then you know you got to do it.
You got to go chase down.
You got it. You just can't. You just can't. Don't chase any girls down. And if Jessie comes to you guys.
This is gonna be relationship advice from Jessie and Keets. A new podcast.
I can't give any advice.
No, I don't ever give advice when it comes to relationships. I think that's an individual experience, you know. You share it with someone individually and leave it at that. Because everything's always separate, like different. Everyone's business is different. Everyone's creative direction's different. Like I'm sure the way you make hats to the way someone else makes hats could be completely different.
100%. And honestly, there's always room for everyone, no matter what. No matter if you're in the same industry, anything, there's always room for everyone.
I had this conversation with Mitch. I shouldn't drop that. Anyway, had this conversation with Mitch, and we're talking about the space, like where you can have a lot of creatives all doing the same thing, but they all need to be getting paid the same, if that makes sense. We're talking about like the difference between pay and like how you can, like if someone's underpaying everyone but working more, they're taking a lot of opportunity away. They're like they're not putting themselves in a good position in terms of like they're not valuing themselves at where they should be, but then they're also taking a lot of the work, which is then minimizing like the other creatives in the same field. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
That probably didn't make any sense. But yeah, essentially it's like this weird, like if everyone was like going, right, this is like kind of where the baseline is, we should all be charging that, and then someone comes through and just like undercuts everyone, but then increases their workload. It's like, how much more productive is that?
Yeah.
Because you're working harder, but then you're undervaluing yourself.
Which happens all the time, right?
Yeah. I think it's just it's like an interesting, I never thought about it until he was talking about it, and I was like, yeah, see, that is kind of true, right? Like if everyone was charging around the same amount, to a degree, obviously, then everyone would have equal opportunities and not be as burnt out. And like, because he was talking about like the way that people perceive, like the outside perceive the industry then, because they're like, if this guy's charging less, why are you all charging more? I was like, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I've never thought of that either.
Now I'm like, it really got me thinking anyway. I was like,
It's a good way to look at it though.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
yeah.
Because I don't know what hats are worth these days, and I'm sure they're all individual. Because a lot of these are custom made, did you say?
Yeah.
So how does it work in terms of pricing then? If they're all custom made, is it like if they add stuff onto it?
Yeah, definitely. And it just depends how many hours as well that goes into it. Because sometimes, as I said, like realistically, if I'm just making one hat, it would take 3 days with the drying processes. But then you add all these trimmings, all this like artwork to the hat, and it could take a week to make a hat if I was just focusing on that one hat.
That's crazy, right?
Because it's like a piece of art at the end of the day.
Yeah. I always wonder, like, what's your day? Is like 8-hour day that you put in?
Yeah.
Kind of thing? Like turn up 9 to 5?
Sometimes more, yeah.
Or like, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be working on a hat.
Yeah. But as we were talking about before, there's I'll be working on, say, quite a few hats with different processes at the same time.
And then you did touch on you were a musician beforehand.
Yes.
Was this before the hats or
Yes.
when you took that break?
No, beforehand. So, I started playing music at the age of 21. I'm 34 now.
Living your coastal dream
Living my
with your
coastal
acoustic
dream
guitar.
with my acoustic guitar.
Ah, yes. The
With
folk singing, I hear.
Yes.
I'm taking a piss. I'm just joking.
But yeah, you're not wrong.
Like you live on the coast.
Yeah.
Well, I live on the sunny coast. It's a big thing up there. Like that
Yeah, for
style,
sure.
that genre of music
Yeah.
is massive.
Yeah,
So
it's huge.
when you're out there and you're like in the creative field, you see your friends like all doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
Every time I see them, they always just remind me of like Boy and Bear kind of vibes.
Yeah, Boy and Bear's awesome.
It just seems to be. I'm like, they were like. It seemed like they were kind of they're Australian, right? I'm pretty sure. I think when they kind of came out, then it kind of really took off, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, because before that, it seemed like there was a lot of pub bands.
Yeah, there still are a lot of pub bands.
I haven't really seen many pub bands these days. Where are they? Come on, guys. Come on the show.
No, but I feel like the folk industry is definitely that's taken off even more so.
And it's like more pleasant. It seems that venues are looking for that kind of thing because it's more pleasant to the ear rather than having like a rock band just going flat bickies.
Yeah.
You know?
Flat bickies. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so how did you find that, I guess, when you were going down that avenue then? Was that something that you were going to pursue? Were you like, oh, I'm going to do this forever?
When I first started doing music, that's all I wanted. That's all, like that was my end all and be all. Like I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to live that life in my van, travel around and just play music and write. And I still have that in me. But and then when I started slowing down and started building the Salty, I was like, okay, I'm gonna this is great. I'm gonna do both of them together and have that lifestyle, that creative lifestyle. And then had some gigs lined up, but COVID hit and which was all fine. Had to cancel some gigs and then just stuck to the Salty Crown because it was easy to do that. And then, now getting back into music and the Salty Crown.
Come full circle.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. Yep.
How do you find the parallels between the two on the creative side? Because you like with music, you have to put your emotion in it to like become, because you can sing someone else's song, but if you're not giving your own like emotion / twist on it, then people won't really resonate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I find playing music a lot scarier, definitely, because that's your authenticity, like that's your soul speaking out into the world, and where.
Love me.
I've got nothing.
The running narrative.
I think Jesse's looking for a girlfriend. Jesse's looking for someone to play him a song and write a song about him.
Yes, that would be funny.
But
yeah, as you were saying, like you are putting yourself.
Yeah, definitely putting yourself out there into the world and writing about your emotions and stories. And then you have hat making, which is really awesome. Like you're coming up with these creative designs, but at the same time, you're also creating designs with people and kind of telling their story. So it's both creative concepts, but just they feel completely different.
So this. Ooh. So you not engrave, you
Stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I use this thing over here. I've got like a little plate.
Like
and
a
it's
leather
got-
stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
got my logo on it, and I press down on. So I wet the leather and I press down on the leather, and yeah.
And it stays like that.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah, it's
fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird that it doesn't take shape again. Like once it's done and that's it. It stays there.
And these are, so it's like different. So that's kangaroo leather, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
sheep.
Ooh.
And I
So thin.
got these made up.
Oh, yep.
to-
So for context, anyone that's listening, we're just going through the inner headband. We're just going through the materials / looking at how it's all done. If you're watching though, you'll see us tinkering around, or me tinkering around. Anyway. So yeah, getting back to the music thing, because I'm intrigued.
Yep.
Because my friend Rob, like a dear friend of mine, he travels Australia playing in his van,
That's awesome.
and he was just talking about he's like, oh yeah, I used to cry on stage and this that, and I was like that's so intense, but it's so I just find it so interesting that as soon as you become vulnerable and authentic, everyone then relates to it.
Completely.
Like you think that people won't relate, like people only want to see you as this persona, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
That was a really long way to say that word. But then when you actually be, authentic and vulnerable, then people are like, oh, like you're the same. We're all the same.
Well, people connect with vulnerability, right? As much as people say, oh, like some people say, oh, I'm not vulnerable, or I don't connect with vulnerability. Everyone connects with vulnerability. So when you're on stage and playing music and you're playing from your heart, people connect with that straight away, and they can see if you're being legit or not.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing acting, they were talking about that. They were I was doing on-screen acting class, and they were talking about truth in conviction, like in your eyes. Like they can tell if you're acting or whether or not you're actually a part, like that character. It was this funny thing because when you try to do it, you're thinking about trying to be that. They're like, just be the character, don't think about it. So then you're thinking about not thinking about it, like thinking that you need to be this character. So it's just super bizarre, mental game that you play with yourself. And I remember I tried, and the guy was like, "Nah, mate." He's like, "That was shit." I was like, "Oh."
I can't be anyone but me.
I was like, okay, I'll just that's me now. Yeah. But going back to your hats and stuff, like there still must be some type of vulnerability that goes into them, because essentially you're still putting out work that you've created.
Completely. Yeah, there's still moments I'm like, is this good enough to put out there? Or even coming up with a design concept, I always think, okay, will people gravitate towards this new design? Or, because at the end of the day, you're putting yourself out there through a piece of art.
How'd you go through the process when you took that break? Did you ever, because I found that for me, sometimes it's when you stop that everything hits you all at once, and you're like, oh, and you get all these different types of emotions. Did you kind of feel the same, when you stopped and actually took a break because you were burnt out, you just got to reflect on the whole situation of the previous years?
Yeah, definitely. When I took a break, that's when I realized that I needed this creative outlet. I constantly need creativity and to be surrounded by that and constantly creating. So that's why I always thought, I need to get back into this. I need to dabble. I need to dabble back into the hat making life.
And now you're up in the attic with all your hats.
Yeah.
Like the crazy lady with all their cats. Just except you've got all your
there's actually a lot. Yeah, you're not wrong. There's a lot.
And it looks like you've got some ties over there. So is that just a part of the creative process on? Yep.
So they're vintage ties that I've found over the years. And when someone wants a custom, I show them my materials and I show them the tie options. And quite a few people like that concept of, sustainable fashion, of using recycled ties.
And is this sustainable material?
Yes. So it's 100% Australian wool felt. I get my leather from a place where it's a byproduct, and just even having control of small batches and there's minimal waste as well.
That's crazy because you'd think that a hat wouldn't be a very sustainable like material, but turns out.
But yeah, the materials are biodegradable.
Yeah, right. That's crazy. I'm so fascinated by this stuff. I find it so interesting because like if you see like different creative fields and you don't speak to someone about it, you always have these questions. You're like, I wonder what the hell's going on around that.
100%.
Like the sewing machines. Like I'd never know. I wouldn't know how to use one of them. So like when you see someone and you like come in here and you're looking around, you're like, it's like this. It's like you're a kid in a candy store because you're like, oh man, how does this all work? Like how does she like create these masterpieces? You know?
Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm like, oh.
But it's just like, it's like anything in the unknown. Like you're unpacking all your equipment. I'm like, oh, how does this work? Like, or this mic setup, or it's just because it's completely foreign to you. That's all it is.
It's, yeah. And that is, I think, something like I forget.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. Because people come in, they're like nervous to go on. And I'm like, what are you nervous about, bro? It's like, how we're chatting now is how we're chatting when we're on there.
Yeah.
It's just a microphone in front.
Yeah, it's completely different. It's completely different to having a normal conversation or having this equipment on and trying to have a conversation and listening to your own voice.
That's the bit that gets everyone. It's
I
funny.
think you might like listening to your voice, but yeah, it's kind of weird in my earphones.
No.
Not your voice, my voice. Sorry. You might like your voice, but it's weird in my earphones. No. I meant mine.
You love your voice, don't you, Jesse? You love yourself. You vain asshole.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, the whole voice thing for me was weird. It was weird to some degree, but then I think through all the other creative stuff, it just kind of became normal. Like I just was like, oh, that's my voice.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. Because at the start, like you hear yourself sing or something, you're like, what the like?
Yeah, definitely.
Then
I
I'm sure now. Do you still find it when you sing?
Yeah, definitely. Like if someone like goes, oh, can I like hear one of your songs and I'm there and I'm like, oh, I feel like I want to walk away or like leave the room or something because I find it weird. Because I'm not going to put my own like EP on and just sit there and, hang out listening to my own songs.
Yes, go girl. You go through that breakup. Yes.
So Jesse loves love.
Apparently I love love today. This is
it's
because Benny was talking about it and then
Benny's a lover.
And now it's got me on the subject. We were on the subject of it before we came and started recording, so now we're here.
Benny loves love.
Shout out to Benny again. Yep. That's what you get.
Yep. That's what happens when you tee us up.
Start talking about you.
So do you want to ask questions about Benny?
Yeah, we should just turn this into the Benny podcast.
The Benny show.
With your music, so you just said you mentioned you had an EP. What was that about? What was the whole concept behind that?
Oh, so many things. So they were all different songs. I wrote, which is like one of my favorite songs that I've written it's called Rome, and I wrote that about being in like a meditative state and when you travel, like no matter where you go, if you're, living within yourself and being completely present, that you're always going to be home. And so I wrote that song, and then I wrote, Yes, There Was a Love Song on there.
I never asked if there was a love song.
Jesse would love that, so I had to say that. Yes, there was a love song on there. There was also, I wrote a song about my family, and that was on there too. And also a friend of mine passed away, and it was about that. She passed away from suicide, and I wrote that in, just from the perspective of her partner at the time. So yeah, it's just all different songs.
That's an interesting thing to say, or to do, where you're writing a song in someone else's shoes. How did you find that process? Was that because I feel like that's a big responsibility, right? Especially if they know that's what you're doing. Yeah,
and if they know it's about them, definitely. But I don't know. I think I always relate songwriting in a sense. If I'm writing about someone else, like someone else's perspective, or like a kind of like a made up story in a sense, I get this like idea in my head. I find it's, I don't know, maybe relatable to how people write like movies or like, I don't know. Yeah, I just think from that perspective in a sense, not from a perspective of like how's this person going to perceive this, or like what are their thoughts on me writing from their perspective. I just kind of write it from like a broader point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's like a good way to put it too. Like it'd be weird to write, or for me, like just thinking about if I was to write a song in like Benny's shoes, for example, that, you know, you got to write how he likes to love, and it's I don't know if I could do it justice is what I'm trying to say. Like I think if you did do it justice, because I feel like there's a lot of moments where people have done something nice for someone, and it'd be such a rewarding experience to like have someone go, hey, I think you've done really well, and you've portrayed like this emotion quite well throughout the song. Yeah,
definitely. It's when you get that feedback, it's like it kind of validates like your ability to write as well and be able to create music from someone else's perspective. It's all about the way people connect with what you're putting out there.
You know, it'd be a really great song idea if you were to write a song about your hats.
Yeah, okay.
And like the process behind it.
Oh, that's actually not a bad idea.
And then just tie in some like emotion into it with, you know, I don't know. I feel like that'd be really cool. Just shouting that out.
That would be really, really cool. And then, do I put your name in that too?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Keep that one.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Just I don't need to be mentioned.
Okay.
At all. I think I've mentioned
because I feel like that's what you were gravitating towards. Like maybe write about your hats, and then maybe write about something that like podcast.
The podcast that you did.
Please, someone write a song about Jesse.
Oh man, this is going downhill. I feel like something's really wrong with Jesse. Is he okay? We need to check in. No, guys, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm very fine. I love love. No.
You're loved. It's fine.
What is the emotion that you're trying to portray with your hats? Like, is there like a certain, for example, like, is there like a cowboy feeling kind of energy that you're trying to put across, or is it a folk singing kind of vibe, or is it the festival felt hat kind of vibe? Do you know what I mean? Is that for lack of a better?
Just depends. Sometimes I have gone for that festival kind of vibe, like the Burning Man vibe. Like I have released a hat that's called the La Pirate. I released something out there that was like really out there. And other times I'm like, oh, what would people wear, you know, traveling, or what would people wear on stage, or what? I feel like just having that broad idea of creativity about what people would wear is where my ideas stem from, really.
It's cool. I think it's such a fascinating, like if you are really like into social structures and how people like use their energy and time, and like the cultures, like different style, like I don't know, the hip hop culture, or like that, like if for example the 90s hip hop scene came with a certain energy, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people try emulate that same energy, but then it creates this like new type of energy, and it's like this new vibe. And I feel that that's much the same with hats as well, or like any creative medium. It's like you've gotten what you have seen throughout your life has led you to like that kind of energy, but then you've now created like a new type of energy around it because it's like your own. So like, because you can never copy someone else's thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so
definitely.
Because I was like, I don't know if this is making any sense.
No, I definitely agree. Like, there's definitely influences from when I was younger, or like even like going back to South Africa and me, you know, creating a style that would signify, you know, that like being there.
I thought is there more?
Yeah, there was, but
I was like,
I thought you were looking. I thought it like died or something, because you like looked at it like, what's going on?
Do you want to know why I looked at it? Because I had a moment of like, shit, did I put the SD card in there?
Oh, and that's what I was thinking. Did something just
If
fail on
you
you.
can't tell already, there's been a lot of lapse in my brain function throughout this podcast.
And then I was worried about you.
Yeah, because then you stopped, and then I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like,
That's so
I was
good.
like, "Wait, did I just like miss a whole section that I need?" And I should have been about to like come through and ask something.
No. I was checking in with you. I was like, oh, something's going on here.
I wish I saw the look on my face because it must have been enough to be like, "Shit, is he alright?"
Because you looked at me like,
Yeah.
and then you looked at your thing, and I was like, oh, okay, something's going on. That's cool.
Oh yes, highly trained professionals.
I don't even know what we were saying.
You were talking about like, there was like a certain energy around when you were like bringing like around your, like from being from South Africa or something. You were talking about making a hat around that energy. I think that's what you said.
Yeah, just like having like influences from different.
Yeah. Yes, we're back. We're back, guys.
We're back. Yeah, just having different influences from like I don't know, past experiences or cultures, and I feel like bringing that into like this modern age is definitely something I think of.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like I'm just really intrigued, I guess, when it comes to like that kind of thing and seeing how someone's creative process works and how they like for this hat, for example, what was the energy going into that?
So there's this thing, right, where sometimes I just create and I just get in this creative flow and I get these ideas and I have all these materials and I'm like, oh, what would this look like on that? And I think that's where most of my designs have come from, is just being in that space.
Well, how does it work? I guess just touching on that. Then let's say you come into the workspace, into the attic.
Yep.
And you're like, all right, I'm just gonna start. I have this design and I kind of want to go with that. So do you just start like lining up some felts and colors and stuff, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do this, or do you just go like straight in, like, right, I take this one, boom, and you just off you go? Like
I think sometimes I have an idea in my head, and like say before I go to bed, or like I'll be laying in bed and I'm like, oh, I've got this idea and I have to create that in the studio. So I'll get this idea, sometimes draw it, sometimes write it down, come into the studio and I'm like, okay, I'm on. Like I need to create this. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, but I'd like to say that the majority of the time it works. It's just whether someone would wear it.
What's the feedback kind of been with people wearing your hats? Do you get a lot of feedback?
A lot of feedback and a lot of positive feedback. I haven't really, unless people aren't telling me, but I haven't really had any negative feedback.
People
so
full on
yeah,
just dogging you behind your back.
Yeah, going, oh, this is shit.
These hats are shit.
But maybe, I don't know. No, but I actually haven't had that experience. It's been super positive, and yeah, and I've had reoccurring customers as well, and yeah, it's just been, I guess, so much love has been, yeah.
You've had a good
running,
run.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to see like people, supporting someone's creative dream, and it's cool to see that like you have reoccurring people coming back as well, because it's not, although it's a materialistic item, it's like what it can represent for someone. Like that hat could like make someone maybe go out on the street because they were had social anxiety, but just wearing your like hat could potentially have changed their whole mindset, and that's like they feel comfortable now to go outside,
Yeah, completely.
It's like crazy because you just don't know what that means to someone, or like some people have listened to this and like say nice things, and I'm like, you never think about it until it becomes voiced to you, and you're like, oh shit. Like,
absolutely. And one of the coolest things I've had someone say to me, oh, I wasn't that confident before, and then I started wearing a hat, I started dressing differently, I started, attracting different things, and like it's because I started wearing this hat and it's just given me so much confidence. And I was like, that's the coolest thing ever.
How crazy. Yeah. That's exactly what I was just saying.
And I make the hat and I think, oh, this is such a sick thing to make, and so much love and attention goes into it, but I never really think of that outcome, not that type of outcome.
All right. These are a lot of what kind of questions, but I'm having fun. So
yep.
What is your most beloved tool?
Oh, probably the blowtorch.
You're an arsonist.
Yeah. No, I I have so much fun setting a hat alight and then also using the blowtorch. I love it.
So what's the go? Explain that whole how this like. Do you put thinners on it or something? Like what's the chemical that you're using to make it go kaboom?
Secret. No, it's not a secret. It's not a secret at all.
That was hectic. You're like, bro, not telling you.
Can't give that shit away. No.
What do you want me to just go through and tell everyone how to do this?
No, not at all. It's just alcohol. It's just you literally spray alcohol on it and you light it up and then you finish it off with a blowtorch. Well, that's how I do it anyway.
Like this one, right?
Yeah.
Is that why you light them? To get this like
yeah, you just get like a old school rustic look, and it also burns like any loose fibers. It burns it down too, and it's.
And do you have to do that with every hat? Like you have to burn every hat?
No, I don't burn every hat. I would like to, but I don't.
Yeah, right. It just feels like
sturdy.
Yeah, it's like a really. Yeah. I like it. Big vibes. It was almost cardboard-like as well. It's really like it's a really bizarre feeling on your hands, like the texture.
Yeah, the texture. Yeah,
you feel like if you squeeze it real hard, it's gonna something's gonna go. Yeah. But then they're like super durable.
Yeah, it's durable, soft, but also sturdy. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, it is.
Unless you're in the felt hat game, guys. It's really you wouldn't understand.
Really hard. I don't even understand.
Just playing along. Yeah.
Well, that's what you do. You just go through life winging it, right? You got to.
Is it kind of almost cheating to make it look rustic when someone should just wear it until it becomes rustic? What's your thoughts on that?
Cheating. No, never cheating because I like the process of burning them, so don't put that out there. No, but I know what you mean. It's like the more you wear it, the more, bashed up it starts looking, and it like looks epic, right? It only gets...
I'm just pulling your leg.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, I've always wondered because like coming from I used to live on a farm and stuff.
Wow, there's so much to you. Hear that, ladies? He's a farmer wants a wife.
Yeah, anyone out there, I have a lot going for me. I'm highly emotional. No. But yeah, I like growing up on the farm, and they were wearing their akubras, and that this same kind of like sweat mark almost was all through like just normal wear and tear.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing people do this kind of stuff, and I was like, that seems so bizarre. Like for something like this hat on the other side,
yeah, it
makes sense, right? Because it looks like it's quite, like not eclectic, but like there's a lot going on where this is like more traditional style hat.
Yeah.
This is a bit more custom. Does that make sense? Yeah. So then I'm like, in my head, my uneducated brain, I'm like, you should get it like this, and then it should just get to that on its own.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what people, and that's, I say to people, wear the shit out of your hat because it's just going to get so much better and starts looking really cool. There's a hat that every single time, like I come out of the surf, I've got this hat. It's like part of the collection called the Gypsy. And I always wear it, and it's got salt marks on it. It's like discolored in places, and it just looks better over time.
That's what I reckon. I think wear your shit.
Yeah.
You know? Just wear the hell out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
This one looks like it's only just getting it.
Yeah, that's a bit fresh. But it's not. I've had this for a long time.
Well, that's the other bonus, right? You just when you get bored of one hat, you just go, I'm just going to make something else that I can wear.
Yeah. If I've got like something coming up or whatever. Or
do you wear these every day?
Not every single day.
I feel like it's a lot, to wear it every day.
I wear them a lot.
Do you know, like, because to me these kind of hats seem like statement pieces, almost. Like you would wear them out to a nice day event or something like that. Well, that's why I was wondering, do you wear them all the time? Kind of like I wear this all the time or other?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, there's definitely hats I wear all the time. Just depends what I'm going to or what I'm doing.
And do you always want them to be like cowboy style round, or are you going to make hats like? Do you reckon you could make hats like that, or?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
5-panel hats is the word I'm looking for.
5-panel hats. Yeah, there's definitely some avenues I'd love to explore and go down that path. But yeah, it's just about how I want to go about it and how I want to, keep the brand as it is as well.
Yeah, in terms of like branding, do you feel like you can't really deviate too much because people know you for this kind of style?
No, I think being in this type of industry and being in such a creative space, there's always room for so much creativity. Like I'm trying to do, if you can see that, like that leather cap down the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like a trucker's cap.
Yeah.
No, the train cap.
Yeah. So there's just like so many avenues you can go down. It's just, about exploring.
Is that
all those
under the wraps, that one? You're like, this is exclusive. That hasn't been released yet.
Well, it hasn't been released, but it's not under wraps. I don't really keep anything under wraps.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Well, special. Anyway.
So yeah.
No, that's sick. It is cool to I think it's great to always expand your creativeness. Like you shouldn't stay, you can stay in your lane whilst also having different variations of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you can have a couple of lanes inside one lane.
I think so too. There's definitely so many avenues you can go down when you're in a creative space. And you shouldn't be confined to the walls of that one lane.
Yeah. Although Benny did say, not to bring him up again, he did say this thing to me. It was quite interesting. He's like, when you're in your own lane, there's no traffic.
He said that to me too.
I was like,
yeah.
Benny, quite the motivational speaker.
And you know what? I wrote it down.
Did you?
Yeah, I did actually. I was on the phone to him and he said that to me and I was like, oh shit, I really have to write that one down.
He better listen to this, by the way.
He's good.
He's come up quite a lot.
He's actually, speaking of Benny, he's actually, because I've known him for such a long time, he's really influenced a lot of my creativity as well. And I feel vice versa.
He's influenced me in a very in a positive way. Since I've met him and we've become really good friends, he's influenced me in a more mature, individualized way. So before I used to be I'm a very giving person, so I'd give a lot of my time out and not really think about myself and not take time for myself.
Yeah.
And then after meeting him and kind of going through that process, he's very well at doing that. He's really good at just going, oh no, I'm just going to take some time for me, and he doesn't beat himself up over it. He's really kind to himself, where I'm polar opposite. I'm super brutal.
100%.
So I learnt a lot from him from that. I was like, he's such a good, and it's a testament to people that you have in your life as your friends.
Yeah.
But the people you surround yourself with are the people that you're going to somewhat become, because you're you are the product of your environment. So if you surround yourself with good people that are creative or whatever you're trying to achieve in life, chances are if you're surrounded by that positivity and that always supportive, pushing you forward kind of thing, you'll end up doing really well for yourself.
Completely. And having those people around you, like you said, they influence you. They're you are what you're doing, your industry, my industry, anyone's industry, they're there to uplift you. They're there to grow with you. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with those people. Well, the right people, like Benny.
Love you, Benny. If he doesn't listen, I'm going to be very annoyed. He better listen. I feel like he will listen because he knows that we're talking about him.
Yeah, he loves that.
He loves that.
Yeah, he loves it.
Shout out to Benny Watson, guys. So if you are wondering who the hell we're talking about, that's who we're talking about. He has been on the podcast before. He has a great story. You should listen to that episode and listen to this episode. Well, you will be listening to this episode because I've just said it. Anyway, that doesn't make sense. Moving right along. I stuck myself there. I was like, oh, you idiot. What's the go with this? The fish like string?
So yeah, that actually goes into when I make the sweatbands.
Yep.
It makes it really sturdy. So I cut that and I put it into that loop in here. So that's the sheepskin, and I put it in there, and that holds its shape, and it holds the shape for the hat as well.
That's a trick of the trade.
That's a secret too.
That's a secret, guys.
Yeah,
this is all secrets.
It's all secrets.
Don't tell anyone. Where did you get where do you get these feathers from, by the way? Do you just going around like attacking birds and like stealing their?
Absolutely not.
Because there's quite an array.
They're just random. My parents love them. They're so supportive. They're so
quite
great.
The bird. They kill the birds and they.
Well, no, not quite. But they do go around if they see feathers in like op shops or anything like that. They always bring them to me, and which is awesome. Yeah,
has your family obviously been super supportive of like your whole creative
everything
fields that you've gone into? Like, what was like some of the other creative outlets that you had like leading into this?
Like from when I was young, or like in general? Well, it's really funny because my parents, they've always pushed. It's just my brother and I, but they've always pushed us to do whatever we wanted. Like no matter what. Like if we didn't want to go to university or we didn't want to study, and if we wanted to go down a creative path, like that was like they encouraged us. Like you do that. So it's really funny. My brother and I started a business when I was in high school and he was fresh 18. We started making we got t-shirts made, and we started tie-dyeing t-shirts, and then we started doing markets and everything like that, and just putting our own designs on there, and that was like our little business together. And our parents were just so supportive, and they helped us book the markets, they helped us create it as a business, and they've always constantly pushed us to do what we want to do.
That's so nice. It's so great that you had parents that do that, because I find that some people don't get that luxury, I guess, in terms of like why they don't follow their creative passion, because it kind of maybe wasn't supported, when they were growing up. It's like sad to see, but it's nice to see when someone I find it really interesting to see how humans evolve through their parents.
Yeah.
As in, like, if your parents are super supportive, very loving and very kind, and you see someone's, like, personality, like, mold into, like, that nurturing way, like, as they grow up.
Definitely.
And then you can see, like, you can speak to someone else and they've come from, like, a completely different background, so you can see how they got this hardened personality, and they're very... I just find it so fascinating. But you have a great personality, so I'm like, it makes sense that your parents must have been very supportive.
Yeah, they are. They're like anything that my brother and I do, they're our number one fans. They've got the banners out. They've got like the cheerleaders out. Like they're all for it. It's the best feeling, definitely.
And then with your is there someone is there like a moment or a memory that you can recall where you've like passed one of these hats on and like you could just see like the raw emotion in their face of like how excited and happy they were to receive one of your hats?
Definitely.
Probably every time, right?
Well, yeah. if someone physically comes and picks up their hat and they try it on, like I always get them to try it on. It's just been the feedback has been phenomenal, and just even doing that that collaboration piece with one of my friends, that was just the feeling I got from that, and the overwhelming feeling of creating this piece of art, and just the love that was received from that's exactly why I'm doing it. That's exactly why I'm putting this work out there. It's because of that moment.
And you don't have any doubts, like after you took that break, have you ever had any moments recently? Have you ever had doubts that you're like, oh shit, like I'm doing this again, or you're like full noise, like, yep, this is exactly what I'm meant to be doing?
Being completely transparent, at the end of the day, it's a business as well, and you're in it to I'm got my creative juices flowing and everything like that, but business isn't easy. It's not easy. And there are definitely moments in time that I go, wow, okay, this is tough. Like I'm having a tough day. But it's also important to remember that it's okay to have those days. and just sit back, sit in it for a little bit and just keep going. Just let your creativity flow. But other than that, yeah, I wouldn't say doubts, but that there's some hard days, definitely.
And where does the name come from? I always forget to ask people where the name comes from their brands. I always forget.
Yeah, well, because I surf, I love the ocean, and one day I was sitting out there. I knew I was going to start making hats, and I'm like,
Professional surfer.
So I wish. I wish. That would be so sick. But I was sitting out in the surf and I was like, all right, so I usually put on a hat when I get out of the ocean. I'm like, oh, like hats get salty. And I was like, oh, what's another name for head? I was like, oh, crown. I was like, the salty crown. And then I was just like, okay, this is it. I've got the name, and I've just run with it ever since.
And then when it comes to like the branding and stuff, do you do all that, or do you get a graphic designer in, or?
No, I do all the branding. I do have amazing people out there, which I'm so grateful for, that provide me content. And yeah, but other than that, I do all the branding and the website and everything that, yeah, I've created it all.
Has a celebrity or someone like really big ever bought one of your hats?
I have had quite a few people. Definitely have had really cool people.
Yes, Jessie, I am quite the business.
No.
People know me.
People know me. No way. No, I have had some really crazy experiences that, people are wearing the salty crown that are really well known, and I'm so grateful for that.
It must be like a surreal thing going.
It is.
Like, shit.
It is, because every single time I see like a celebrity or someone well known wearing my hat, I'm like, man, like I made that with my bare hands, and they're wearing it. It spins me out.
It is like it is a spin out, right?
It is a spin out. Yeah.
They're wearing it, and they're like, they enjoy, like they probably feel really great wearing this hat.
Yeah.
That I made. Like, that's so.
It's really cool. Really cool feeling.
Yeah, I think it's great when people support other people, and like they tell you about it. I feel like a lot of people they'll just sit back and they might really enjoy it, but then they never let you know. And I think it's such a big thing to like let your creative friends or people that you follow, like let them know that you appreciate what they're doing, because it can, like that one thing can change so much.
I completely agree. I think, and just even knowing for those people that are putting things out there that are creative, and just having the feedback or just even the acknowledgement, I feel like that contributes to them keeping on doing what they're doing. Because if they don't know how good they're going, or that, people are watching, I don't know, sometimes people feel a little bit, they question, am I doing the right thing? Am I putting the right thing out there? And just that one person, it takes one person to go, hey, you're doing amazing, keep going. And it's just like that, like little validation piece.
Yeah. I think, and it's a weird, because it's not like a validation as in, like, oh yeah, sick, look at me. It's more
not
like
a stroke of the ego.
It's like it's a nice, it's like a nicety that you, like that one comment can like could potentially change everything, So I think it's very important that people should support each other. Yeah,
and just like even just having that support. I think support is so important, and obviously we all know about what tall poppy syndrome can do to people as well, but just supporting others, even like I said earlier, there is room for everyone, especially like in a creative space. There is room for everyone. Like how many musicians are out there? How many creatives are out there? Or like even people bringing out podcasts, but it's unique to that person. There's no one like Jessie. Ladies, there's no one like Jessie. I had to.
Oh, yes. Love me.
Wow.
Help me. Please. No. Yeah, I agree. It's cool. It's nice when someone be's nice. Like everyone should always be nice all the time. But even just in your friends, like check in on your friends. That's another thing. Right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Like check in on them.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey man, you alright? And if they're like, yeah, I'm fine. You're like, all right, man. You let me know if you ever need anything.
Yeah.
You know, like something.
It takes that one little, hey, I'm thinking of you.
Yeah, it can change.
Completely.
Especially in this day and age, like where it's so, like life's tough, I guess. It seems like it's getting tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because I'm getting older, but it definitely seems like it's getting tough. Like just in terms of, like there's so much going on in the world right now. Like there's so much negativity, there's so much this, there's so much that, there's so many, like people are hurt and people are this and rah, rah, rah. Like, it's like, man, you just got to try to be kind now. Like we all got to start looking after each other and just, you know, if you like someone's stuff, let them know you like their stuff.
Definitely.
If they don't have a big following, perfect. If they have a big following, do it anyway. Like my mate, he said he reads books. And then even if they're like a big author, he will just send them an email anyway. And be like, hey man, like really enjoyed your book, rah, rah, rah.
Cool.
He's like, I don't even know if they ever see it, but he goes, you just don't know kind of thing. He's like he could be having a bad day and that thing could really help.
Completely. That's a great idea.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mitch, again.
Oh, Mitch and Benny.
Bloody hell, Mitch. We love you. We love you too, Benny. Sometimes. No. But yeah, it's like, it's just, I don't know. I'm a big advocate, obviously. I've been rambling on about it for the last 5 minutes now. But yeah, I just think it's nice when people look after each other. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think it's super important. Definitely.
So moving forward.
Yeah.
We are coming to the end of the series of this craziness that it was. Yeah. Where do you see the brand, I guess, for the most generic question of the day, where do you see the brand in like the next 5 years?
That's a big question.
It requires a big answer.
Yeah, it does. Wow. Where do I start then? That's so much pressure.
Oh, man. This has been so good.
I love, I really love the audience that, you know, the people that I've met and the support that I've had seriously since day dot has been something that I did not realize that it would be this loved and people would just, you know, gravitate towards this brand that I've created. I had no idea. So to say the next 5 years, like, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how big or like, I have no idea. But what I do know, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and and see where it goes. Just keep creating.
That's the best. That's the best. You just don't know, but you keep showing up.
Just saying and just saying yes to everything. I think that's super important. Just having that, you know, allowing life to happen for you as well. I think that's really important because that opens up a lot of doors. Yeah,
that old saying, it's like life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you.
Yeah.
We're all motivational on here. Motivational quotes left, right and centre, guys. Well, it has come to that time of the show. If you're an avid listener of the Creative Appetite podcast, you would know, but you obviously are not, which is fine. I mean,
sorry.
That's cool. That's cool.
Sorry. I am now.
No, I am. Sorry, I was wrong.
Yeah.
But you get a shout out, a local legend who you think should come on the show, whether it be local as in the Gong local or local across the world, because I'm opening up to the world now.
Okay.
I've decided.
Yep.
And the second thing is you get to give a piece of advice to someone out there who might need, like, who might be struggling to start their project, and this advice could have been given to you at some point and you're just going to regurgitate it.
Yeah.
No one's specific, by the way. I asked that question before and someone's like, yeah, Jimmy. So, and I was like, oh,
so
shit,
good.
no, I just meant like, you know, everyone listening.
That's so good.
All right. Floor's yours.
Well, just going back to someone being on your podcast, I do know a local legend, a really, really good mate of mine, Benny Watson. No, actually, his name is Ben Butt.
Oh,
so yeah,
what?
but not that Benny. He's a photographer. He's awesome. He does some videos for me as well, and yeah, he's great. So yeah, he definitely needs to come on the podcast.
Right.
Definitely.
Shout him out.
Ben Bagley.
Ben Bagley, let's go.
You're up. But yeah, definitely a piece of advice that I would give is if you have an idea or anything, I think it's so important to run with it, because you have no idea where it's going to take you. All I just knew when I was getting into the hat making, I didn't even know it would become a brand or a business. I just knew that I just wanted to create something different other than music. And I always wore hats, and just the idea came into my mind when I saw other hat makers, and I was like, oh, let's just give it a go. Let's just see how it is to make a hat, and ran with it and created something really cool that's brought a lot of people together. And I've met so many cool people as well just doing this. And it not just because it's a business, but just, you know, creatives coming together. You have no idea where anything will take you. So if you think it's like the smallest idea that you, even if it's just a hobby, or you have no idea what that's going to do for you and your soul, and just to run with it and see what happens. You're never too old to do anything. You're never too young to try anything. Like my brother and I started our first business when I was 15 and he was 18. And you just got to take it and run with it, and just see where life goes and takes you.
There you have it. That is, well, now we're at the end of the podcast, guys. So thank you so much, Keets, for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Jesse.
My pleasure.
It was awesome. Now I'm going to listen to this podcast all the time. Not my one, but everyone else's one.
Yeah, did a bloody good job.
I'm just going to put it on repeat.
Well, this has been another amazing episode of Creative Appetite, guys. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, and most of all, tell your grandma about us. Thank you.
Thank you.